All right, thank God it's Friday. Good morning and welcome to today's edition of the program Scoreboard in 15 right on 32 FM 94.9. Well, definitely you call them champions. I'm talking about FC Barcelona. Yesterday, they were victorious in their game against, their opponent against Espanyol and Lamine Yamal. You tell that this young lad having a season and to remember, well, definitely he was on target in that encounter. 2-0 they defeated Espanyol. Remember 2 seasons ago when FC Barcelona won the league, it was still at the same ground they won the Spanish La Liga title. Fast forward 2 seasons now, they have won the title once again at the home ground of Espanyol. But outside FC Barcelona, we'll discuss about the Flying Eagles of Nigeria, where, of course, they were dumped out. Not dumped out, there's still a form of that's a survival for them. They still have something to fight for. That's the third place game where they'll be playing against the host nation, whom, of course, also lost narrowly by a goal to nil. For both sides, they lost narrowly in their semi-final encounter yesterday. That's talking about the Flying Eagles of Nigeria, where we lost to the hands of South Africa. And for Morocco, they defeated Egypt also by a goal to nil. And then we discuss about some other sporting stories in the world of tennis. Yannick Sinner into the semi-finals of that's the Italian Open. And they talk about Jasmine Paolini up against 𝐂𝐏𝐿. These ladies, they are in the finals of the Italian Open. For Paolini, she did that in front of the home crowd. And then for 𝐂𝐏𝐿, you tell that this woman, she is playing like a woman with the intention of doing so well in the year 2025. Well, definitely basketball stories as well. We have this one going down to Game 7, and then we'll discuss about more of that on today's edition of the program right on 32 FM. Remember, this weekend also is a one to remember for some certain teams. Crystal Palace will be up against they'll be up against Manchester City in the finals of the English FA Cup. And so you would have Borussia Dortmund wanting to win their last game in the German Bundesliga just to make sure that they play in the UEFA Champions League for next season. And then we'll discuss about Napoli also, first match pointer for them. How many games are to go there in the Scudetto race? And then you know that they have that 1 point advantage ahead of Inter Milan. So this weekend, bring everything together. It's going to be an exciting weekend in the exciting world of sports. But once again, welcome on board to today's edition of the program, Scoreboard in 15, right on 32 FM 94.9. And you are listening to the voice of Oluwatimilei and SAMIES. So get on the program this lovely morning. Well, the Gateway Games are set to begin later today. Well, definitely, once again, let's just rejig our memories. Let's take a listen to what the theme song at the Gateway Games would look like.
Welcome to National Sports Festival. You're welcome to Sporting Fiesta. Welcome, oh fellow Nigeria. The Gateway Games are here.
Open State comes alive with Nigerians from all tribes.
Come together as one, men and women, everyone. We'll share our victories with the world. Welcome to National Sports Festival. You're welcome to Sporting Fiesta.
All right, definitely it's the National Sports Fiesta set to go down there in Abeokuta. Just Ogun State to be precise, because the games will go down across different centers. But today we would have the team arrivals, and of course on Sunday, that's the 18th of this month, we would have the opening ceremony. Well, definitely it's going to be a long 2 weeks. We'll talk about our own Nigerian Olympics, as well as other contingents coming up from that's the 36 states, including the Federal Capital Territory. Well, definitely fingers crossed that's for the Gateway Games. But we move away from that also and quickly join our partners, the BBC, to take a listen to what they have for us on that front of the BBC Premier League update. When we come back, it's time to talk about some other sporting stories. The BBC Premier League update.
BBC Premier League update from the home of Premier League football. Hello, I'm Shabnam Yunus-Jewell at the BBC Sports Centre. Aston Villa manager Unai Emery thinks Friday's match against Tottenham Hotspur will be competitive. Villa are challenging for Champions League qualification, while Tottenham will contest the Europa League final next Wednesday. Tottenham's priority will be to win a trophy, but Emery believes they will take their Premier League clash seriously.
I expect of them the best preparation for tomorrow and for the final they are going to play with the best player they have, and maybe some players they are coming back after being injured or someone is not available for tomorrow, but I know tomorrow we have to get our best, our focus 100% in our game plan 90 minutes, respecting them.
Meanwhile, Tottenham's Ange Postecoglou says rivals of Aston Villa shouldn't be concerned about him not taking their upcoming match seriously. The Spurs boss thinks both matches are important.
There have been times this year when we've had to field weakened teams because of injury. Does that affect integrity? So, people are thinking that there's some sort of competitive balance that exists that doesn't exist over the course of a season. So I'll be very surprised if people are questioning our integrity to try and win a game of football tomorrow.
Postecoglou has also said losing the injured Dejan Kulusevski is disappointing news before the Europa League final and confirmed he will be sidelined at least a few months. And in transfer news, Liverpool are ready to trigger the release clause of Bayer Leverkusen's Jeremy Frimpong as they close in on their first summer signing. The 24-year-old, who can play across the right-hand side, is wanted by fellow Dutchman Arne Slot for next season's campaign, and talks towards a deal have progressed in recent days. Frimpong's release clause is understood to be in the region of €35 million, with Liverpool expected to meet that figure. And for more football news from the BBC, go to bbc.com/football.
BBC Premier League update from the home of Premier League football.
All right, there you have that from the BBC. Remember, games are set to go down later tonight at top-tier games. Well, why is this game going on? Remember, for Tottenham Hotspur, they'll be involved in the finals of the UEFA Europa League against Manchester United. Well, for Chelsea, later tonight, they'll be up against Manchester United, and Aston Villa will be up against Tottenham Hotspur by 7:30, while the game between Chelsea and Manchester United, 8:15. That's where the games would go down, respectively, later tonight. But then we talk about the champions there in Spain. It's all about FC Barcelona, where it's turning Yami Lamar strike and an assist. Gave Barcelona, that's the championship, with a 2-0 victory at local rivals, that's Espanyol, ensuring that Real Madrid cannot catch them at the top of the table. While only the Champions League escaped an exciting young Barcelona side this season as they won the league for the second time in 6 years. Well, of course, you know that for FC Barcelona, they have won trophies this season. 3 trophies they won, twice defeating Real Madrid. And of course, beating Real Madrid to the league as well. But then they fell short that's in the semi-finals of the UEFA Champions League to the hands of Inter Milan, where they lost by 13 goals to by 7-6 on an aggregate scoreline. But then you say that for FC Barcelona and Hansi Flick, who has decided to extend his contract with FC Barcelona, you give them the laurels, the praise that they need this season. Well, definitely, it's a good one. 28th-time champions of the Spanish La Liga title. All hail FC Barcelona. And then we move away from that also and quickly discuss about a bit of tennis stories from the games that went down last night. Yannick Sinner, he defeated Casper Ruud in straight set 6-0, 6-1. And for Casper Ruud, he said that he is being mesmerized by the performance of Yannick Sinner. That's in their game that went down yesterday. And then talk about the WTA also semi-final games that went down yesterday. It was Jasmine Paolini who defeated Stens in straight set 6-5, 7-5, 6-1. And then for Cory Gauff, 3 sets. This game went down in 3.5 hours. Cory Gauff defeated the Chinese women, and that's Qinwen Zheng. That's 2-1, 7-6, 6-4, 7-6. Well, definitely, it was a good one for Cory Gauff as both players, Jasmine Paolini of Italy and Cory Gauff of the United States of America, they'll face off in the finals. And then talk about Casper Ruud against, there would be in action, not Casper Ruud now, Yannick Sinner. Well, definitely, he's definitely in the semifinals of this year's ATP 1000 Masters tournament going on there in Italy. Carlos Alcaraz later today will be up against Lorenzo Musetti, and Tommy Paul would be up against Yannick Sinner. That's the semi-final pairing. The We leave that and talk about the world of basketball, where 𝐂𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐄 has scored 29 points and recorded 14 rebounds as the Denver Nuggets defeated the Oklahoma City Thunders 119-107 to force a decisive 7th game in their Western Conference semi-final series. Well, definitely you know that it is a good one. Game 7, well, Denver headed into that the game that went down in the early hours of today in the series after squandering a late leads in Game 5 and 6, but fought back after halftime to end a trip to the Oklahoma City for Game 7. That's later on Sunday. Well, definitely this is a good one for the Nuggets. They need a 7th game to eliminate the Los Angeles Clippers in the first round. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 32 points for the Thunder, who ended up the regular season in the top of the Western Conference with a 68-14 record. And the Minnesota Timberwolves, they await either the Denver Nuggets or the Oklahoma City Thunders in the Western Conference final. Last year, remember, they defeated the Nuggets in Game 7 of the Western Conference semi-finals. All right, talking about the Under-20 African Cup of Nations now, the Flying Eagles of Nigeria, like I said, they were dumped out off that's the competition going on there in Egypt, but they have one thing to fight for. After selling the ticket to be in Chile at the Under-20 Men's World Cup, they still have one more to fight for. That on Sunday by 4 p.m. when they will be up against Egypt, the host nation, in a match for the 3rd place. And of course, for Aliou Zubairu and the boys, they'll be hoping to definitely win one and of course get better than what they did in the last edition. Well, you tell that South Africa defeated Nigeria by 1-0. Morocco also defeated Egypt by 1-0. And on Sunday, we'll see South Africa also play up against Morocco. That's by 7 p.m. in the finals of the Under-20 African Cup of Nations. All right, talking about African football still, FIFA, they have officially lifted the suspension placed on Congo Brazzaville from international football. The suspension, which was enforced in February, stemmed from a third-party interference in the operations of the country's football governing body, that's FECOFOOT. And at the time, FIFA cited a particularly that's a serious situation involving undue influence, calling it a direct breach of FIFPro's that's responsibilities under FIFA statutes. Well, definitely for Congo Brazzaville now, there will be they've been the suspension has been lifted by the Federation of that's Football. All right, this is how far we can go into this edition of the show. We ensure we'll come back later in the afternoon by 3:30. Scoreboard Reloaded to discuss more sporting stories. Hopefully, well, a blessing for where we join us on the show this afternoon while we are also preparing ourselves for the National Sports Festival set to go down there in Ogun State. I am SAMIES, your sports captain. I'll be back later in the afternoon by 3:30. Myself, Peter, and a blessing. Do enjoy the rest of the day and bye for now.